One of the things I learned about communication is that I always thought like, oh, I'm a strong communicator. Sometimes our clients may have more questions, but they're afraid to ask the question or they get lost in the sauce of the conversation.
Really looking at how they're gesturing to tell the story of what they want because they don't have all the words that we have.
Welcome to the Successful Stylist Academy podcast. I'm your host, Ambrosia Carey, and we're hanging out with Drea today, but we do have something that we're really excited to include you in, and that has to do with our giveaway. And this is specific to you as a listener. Any and all Apple Podcast reviewers will be automatically entered to receive and be selected at random on Successful Stylist Academy, our support pack, which includes one of our SSA t-shirts, a notepad, pen, template pack of choice, and a 60-minute marketing discovery plan with me, truly, Ambrosia. So I'm excited for those of you guys who are a part of this, and thank you so much for these amazing Apple Podcast reviews. Drea, how's it going, girl?
Hey, so many good things, you guys. Let's go. Yeah, get those reviews in. It's going great. I'm super excited to be here. I love our topic today. I know we're doing these little mini sessions. We want to hear from you. Like, how's that going? How's the attention span? Do you feel like you're getting what you need? So today is all about 6 effective ways to communicate with clients. And, I mean, I just feel like the wheel's not getting reinvented, but you know, like everything's been said and no one was listening. So we need to say it again. And I know I need that. So I assume what I need, you guys might need too. So we're going to jump right in. Do you want me to kick this off, Ambrosia?
You're already there. You keep going, girl. You're on a roll.
Okay, I'm just going to take it away then. So my first effective way to communicate with clients is to offer a complimentary virtual consultation. And the reason that I like to do that is because I really want to communicate well and have an opportunity to show up for my clients, especially for those new clients. But our time is precious and we only have so much of it. And I feel like if I'm able to hop on, like keep it really simple, like hop on FaceTime for 15 minutes with a new client, make them feel seen, heard, cared for, answer all of their questions, set us both up for success within the communication, that is going to be nothing but a win-win. But then I didn't have to have the time of taking up their time, having them drive to the salon. Maybe they're waiting while I'm finishing a client. Then they're in my chair. Then I'm checking them out. Like no matter what, that's a half an hour spot that I've got to set aside that might not be built in to my schedule, especially as your schedule starts to get busier. So I think verbalizing, sharing on your social media that you offer complimentary virtual consultations, especially new clients, I think it's a great thing to talk about, to get the conversation going, something that I don't see a lot of people doing and a lot of people offering at this time, instead of just through text message or DM or however we're doing it. You have the opportunity to let them know what your policies are, to kindly give a 48-hour cancellation notice, what forms of payment you accept, how excited you are to meet them and create a perfect vision for their hair. So that's my first one.
Wow, that was like 6 in 1. I mean, I think we're done now.
Let's go home.
Yeah. Communication is an important thing for me. And one of the things I learned about communication is that I always thought like, oh, I'm a strong communicator, but I'm a strong communicator to those who receive communication like me. And I have to understand the way that people receive communication. So a big thing for me is I like to ask my clients how they like to receive communication, or better yet, how they like to receive information. I mentioned this in a previous podcast, but oftentimes I'll ask my client, like, do you like to talk over the phone, or do you prefer to do things through text message or email? Or do you like to do the in-person? And a lot of times clients are like me, and I've said before, like attract likes. This is not a new thing for us, but most clients, because I prefer to do things verbally and in person, most of my clients are going to be like me as well. I think sometimes things can get lost in translation when we're doing it through DM or when we're doing it through text message, and that's why I prefer not to do it that way. But also, we've all gotten in the weeds before when we're trying to have conversations, especially when it comes to like let's say we're doing a consultation through DM and it's not like a face-to-face kind of a thing and we're just sending pictures back and forth and we're talking, there's things that can get lost in translation with that. And so if it's not a face-to-face where people are talking to each other, sometimes for me, and this is my own personal thing, so don't hold this against me, but sometimes I feel as though people don't hear me correctly, or they may be interpreting things a little differently than the way I'm trying to say it. And I just want to make sure that I'm being clear to them just as much as I'm receiving them clearly. So if I'm trying to describe something to a client and we're trying to do it through messaging, then I would spend more time messaging. That's going to take time away from me. So I know it's taking time away from my client. And instead of giving 6 messages back and forth, if we can just get on a call, I feel like that's more efficient. And that's what this is all about. We want to be effective. That's the whole title today. So that's my effective tip. What about you, Dre? I know you've got more for us.
Yeah, so good. And I think communication in itself is asking your client how they want to be communicated to. I mean, that's not a new thing, but it's still brilliant because we don't all fit in the same cookie cutter, and thank God, because it would be a boring world
Thank
out
goodness.
there.
I know.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So good. My next one is to pre-create a welcome letter and a policy note to send prior to appointments. So if you do have a client or you yourself aren't maybe going to be able to do those phone calls, or they do prefer to do things maybe over some type of message, whether it's email, DM, or text messages, I would say hop on Canva or a different template like creation app that you are currently comfortable with. First, create a welcome letter, because that's just going to be upgrading from just like a regular text. And I think that that's going to get noticed as a higher form of communication. So this welcome letter can just be something that is kind of like you cut and paste, and maybe you just put the person's name in there. But thank you for reaching out. I'm so looking forward to our time together. I'm excited to create a custom vision for your hair. These are some things that you might, want to know, or just keeping it really, really simple, but just a little bit of a welcome letter, who you are, maybe why you love what you do. I mean, you can do whatever you want with that, but creating a welcome letter that you can send them in any form. And then the second thing would be a policy note, because those are sometimes uncomfortable things to talk about, and they're important things to talk about. So saying, I also wanted to include some of the policies or some of the way that I operate, or just set us up for success on our first meeting. Like, these are all words that you can use, and letting them know to kindly give a blank amount of time for if they need to reschedule their appointment, and you are happy to do that. Your current policy is, and it lets them know, making sure they have the address, making sure they know what forms of payment that you are currently accepting is good. And then ending that with like, is there anything else that I can answer for you? So I think a great way to communicate with your clients and set yourself and them up for success on your appointments would be to create a welcome letter and a policy note to send to them.
I like that you said, is there anything else I can answer for you? That's something that's so simple, but sometimes our clients may have more questions, but they're afraid to ask the question, or they get lost in the sauce of the conversation and they forget, like, how many times have we wanted something and then we leave the conversation and we're like, oh man, I forgot to ask this, So just like almost like giving permission, like asking them, is there anything else? I love that. That's great. I actually want to talk about covering past, present, and future in a consultation. So we want to talk about what hasn't been working, what has been working, just talking about the past stuff. This doesn't have to necessarily be with a new client. It could be with the existing client. You could be seeing this client for 20 plus years. It doesn't matter. But talking about the past, has anything changed? Has anything not worked well for you? Has anything worked really well for you? What are you loving right now that's moving into the present? What have you been finding you've been doing on a daily basis? And then, just talking about ways that they're styling it. Is there anything that you're doing differently lately? And then the future, do you have anything coming up, or do you have any desires that you want to change with your hair? Do you have anything that you have been wanting to see happen differently? Anything along those lines. I'm not really coming up with the best words right now, which is ironic because we're talking about communication. But I'm just thinking of a scenario when I have a client sitting in my chair, for instance, that I've been seeing for like the 15 plus years. I may ask a client, even if she's liking everything, and even if she's saying to me, like, I loved everything you did, I just do the same thing. I might even just say, like, okay, well, we're stepping into summertime. I'm noticing the ends are feeling a little bit on the dry side. Let's maybe revisit some of the things you're putting on the ends of your hair if you're wanting to keep your length. And then if they're wanting to keep their length, then we can say, like, and possibly if we're going to keep your length, maybe we can change up your shape a little bit too. And then that can open up a whole different conversation. So we want to make sure we're instilling ideas, and it might not happen today, but it's something that can happen in the future. So setting them up for future thought, but making sure that you're covering past, present, and future in the consultation. That's such a great way to communicate with your client and get them to look forward to things, and also to revisit things that they may have forgotten between the time that they saw you. Because some of our clients go like 3 months between their appointments. Some we see every 5 weeks. So we just want to make sure we have like a good template for that.
Yeah, I love that, Ambrosia. And I'm just going to actually just kind of drag out that vibe into my next one. And I'm like calling them the tangibles, because there's like a couple of them that go hand in hand. And it's really about, like, what are you doing to practice strengthening your communication when it comes to eye contact, body language, and the words that we use, which, goes right along with like what you're talking about with consultation and instilling ideas and having those discussions with your clients. And I really love that you said whether they've been your client for 20 years or they're new clients, because you don't want clients to feel forgotten about, or like they're less important, or that their time is not as valuable because you sealed the deal with them. So I think that
things change in people's lives too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Growing. I mean, and that's part of just like in relationships, like celebrating the new discoveries, growing with that person, coming alongside their journey, like being excited about the changes. But we can't do that if we continue to either not have the conversation or have the same conversation. So I think that's huge. And so, being someone who, if you guys, some of you might know me outside of the podcast, but I do teach presentation skills and communication. And so eye contact, body language, and the words we use are going to be huge in how we communicate, the way that people are hearing what we say with the words we use and the words that we don't use. So I think just taking the time to, one, create some awareness around this and to practice some stronger skills in these areas are always going to increase our effectiveness with how we relate to our clients. So through the entire appointment, I think eye contact, let's just set on that first. You guys have heard, like, we get behind the chair, we talk to our clients. So standing in front of them, not being distracted by other things and other stylists and things that are happening, but really being present with them, not just physically, but connecting, which we've touched on in so many episodes before this, and looking them in the eyes and making sure that they know that you are practicing active listening and not already deciding what your plan is for them, I think is huge. So eye contact, gesturing, the gestures that we use, what we're saying with our bodies, but more than that with gesturing, look at their gesturing, because are they saying one thing, but then they're pointing here, or they're saying one thing and then they're like brushing their hair back, but they're saying they want like face frame lit, like, just really looking at how they're gesturing to tell the story of what they want, because they don't have all the words that we have. So words that we use do matter. So just like I mentioned, and Ambrosia said, just saying, hey, what else can I answer for you? Sorry, I'm late, come to my chair. Or, hey, I'm so sorry I was running behind. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you waiting for me. Can I grab your bag? Like, your chair's ready for you. Like, just taking those extra minutes to focus on these things is going to change the impact we have when we communicate with our clients. So making that individual experience, focusing on, all of these top tips and revisiting the ones that maybe you've gotten away from would be my challenge for you guys today. I know we have one last one, Ambrosia. So what do you got?
The gesturing. I love the gesturing. Like I've never used that word before. I think I just think of it more as like nonverbal communication, but the gesturing is such a great, like literally someone miming what it is that they're looking for. And you're just watching their hands more so than listening. So the listening part, that is the most effective way to communicate. Believe it or not, what you hear is more important than what you say. Yeah, you guys have probably heard the expression 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? I think that's something that like our elders have said. And now here I am, an elder myself, saying it to you. But just make sure that when you are communicating with somebody that you're repeating back what you're hearing from them. There's something that's so nice about that active listening that is going to be really paramount in making sure that your client feels heard. So by listening to what they're saying and repeating back the words that they say to you, don't try to correct them. If they say my ends are splitting, then, don't use a different word. Say like, because you're concerned about your ends splitting, I suggest taking off X amount, and I would seal it with a treatment when we're done, just so that we can ensure that it doesn't continue to split further. So using the words that a client uses, it's okay if it's not if they say die, you can say die too. And then you could say, just use words that are familiar to them, because it's really impactful for clients to feel that you are hearing what they're saying. And if you try to use other words or you try to correct something, it could come across as belittling, or it could come across as they don't hear what I'm saying. Just by the words. Drea just got through saying that words are important. So that's what I wanted to finally wrap up with. There's so many other effective ways of communicating, but we wanted to give you guys the most impactful ones. And these are ones that are super important for us behind the chair as a hairstylist, as a service provider. And Drea, I know that you were going to wrap us up in one pretty little bow, so I'll toss it back over to you. And thank you so much for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks, Ambrosia. And thank you to all of you guys just for being a part of our community. Like, we love having you here. We have a little freebie for you, so take advantage of it. If you click on the link, you will receive top 10 habits of a successful hairstylist. So please take advantage of that. And remember to continue to dream big, set goals, and take action. And don't forget that we are there for you every step of the way. Can't wait to see you next episode.